This evening, let's explore the 36th poem of the Tao Te Ching. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. This evening, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Princess Leia did during the training she received on Ajahn class from her brother Luke Skywalker, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. If at any point during this evening's live stream you have a question about meditation or philosophy or even chanting, there's no need to be bashful. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. I wish to apologize if I seem out of it, for I am. My sinuses are dancing the Watusi, but I'm going to give you whatever I've got, however little that may be. So, moving right along. Let's tap button 5. This translation comes to us because of the scholarship of Rosemary Anderson. What you wish to diminish, you must first let it stretch. What you wish to weaken, you must first let it strengthen. What you wish to destroy, you must first let it exalt. What you wish to seize, you must first let it rise up. This is called subtle knowing, the soft and weak overcoming the hard and strong. Fish should never leave deep water, a country's sharpest weapon should never go on public display. We have been sold a false bill of goods, you and I. We have been told to be proactive, to make things happen, and to go for the gusto. The sage advice of Lao Tzu is to the contrary, urging us to empathetically flow from a place of centered spontaneity. Before we go further, I wish to subject you to an entire minute of housekeeping. Every 12 hours, I broadcast 1 or 2 live streams without any ads other than this. With your help, this channel could come to support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If this speaks to you, and it sounds like a good idea, you're welcome to help out, even for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month. Simply use your smartphone to capture the QR code on this screen, or simply click one of the donation links in the description area below the video. Once again, please don't take my sourpuss personally. My sinuses feel like they're housing a xenomorph, ready to burst out of my forehead from the fever dream of old what's-his-face. Ridley Scott, that's it. So I'm going to tap button 14, and hopefully that'll take us to the chapter of Samantabhadra's vows. Some translators call it the 40th chapter. Other translators call it the 39th chapter. Please chant with me. As many Buddhas as there may be in any world throughout the 10 directions. Throughout past, present, and future, I honor them all. Without exception, pure in body, speech, and mind. Of course, the best way to honor a Buddha is not through ritual, but through the practice of the Eightfold Path. With as many bodies as atoms in all lands, I bow to all Buddhas with a mind directed to all Buddhas. By the power of the vow of the practice of good. I probably should make this word a little bit bold. In a single atom, Buddhas as many as atoms sit in the midst of enlightening beings, so it is of all things in the cosmos. I realize all are filled with Buddhas. Wherever we go, as long as we are a healthy mammal, we have access to Buddha nature. For Buddha nature is nothing mysterious. It's simply the interplay between our mindful, sympathetic nervous system, our empathetic anterior cingulate gyrus, and our relaxing and releasing parasympathetic nervous system. So any healthy mammal should be able to access their Buddha nature anywhere, anytime. Let's continue. I laud all the Buddhas therein, expounding in all languages the qualities of all Buddhas with endless oceans of manifestations. So, what does that mean? By practicing the Buddha's teachings, by being contemplative and loving, kind, enthusiastic, mindful, and meditative, our example is the best glorification of the Buddhas. With the finest flowers, garlands, musical instruments, perfumes, and parasols, the finest lamps and incense, I make offering to those Buddhas. With the finest cloth fragrances and mountainous baskets of aromatic powders, with the finest of all kinds of adornments, I make offerings to those Buddhas. Whatever be the best of offerings, I produce them for all Buddhas. By the power of devotion to the practice of good, I honor and serve all Buddhas. And what is the best way to do that? By practicing the Buddha's teachings. Whatever evil I may commit under the sway of passion, hatred, or folly, bodily, verbally, or mentally, I confess it all. And whatever the virtue of beings everywhere, heroes, saints, self-conquerors, enlightening beings and Buddhas, and all that I do rejoice. And all the lamps of the worlds in the 10 directions, who have realized enlightenment and attained non-obstructions, I seek as guides that they may turn the supreme wheel of teaching. So let's play with this phrase right here, non-obstruction. So we have obstructions to omniscience, which is a very lofty term. What are the two obstructions to omniscience? They would be competitiveness and clinging. What are their antidotes? Training in the contemplation of letting go and training in compassion, both of which we accomplish by chanting this passage. Let's continue. And all the lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who have realized enlightenment and attained non-obstruction, I seek as guides that they may turn the supreme wheel of teaching. You know, I think this may be better if I made this a little bit smaller. There you go. And those who, let's see what is, okay. And those who wish to manifest extinction, I petition respectfully to remain for aeons as many as atoms in the land, for the welfare and happiness of all beings. So I'm going to do the old switcheroo with the word sequence because sometimes that's how I roll. By honor, service, and direction, by appreciating, seeking, and requesting teachings, whatever good I have accumulated, are dedicated to universal enlightenment. I dedicate it all to enlightenment. May the Buddhas of the past be honored, as well as those now in the worlds of. The 10 directions, and may those of the future be at ease, filled with joy, having realized enlightenment. May all the lands of the 10 directions be purified, supreme, and filled with Buddhas and enlightening beings and the tree of enlightenment. May all beings in the 10 directions be happy and well. May all beings righteous and be successful. May their hope be realized. Let's revisit the previous bit. So what we're wishing is, and wherever there are people, may there be fully enlightened Buddhas and their students. What is an enlightening being? It's someone so enthusiastic for the Buddha's path that its practice has come to define them. May all beings in the 10 directions be happy and well. May all beings righteous aims be successful and their hopes be realized. May all beings righteous and be successful. May their hopes be realized. As I am carrying out enlightenment practice, may I recall my lives in all states. In every lifetime as I die and am reborn, may I always transcend the mundane. Now I'm going to add a italicized comment to show that this is my choice, not necessarily the translator's choice. There we go. Learning from all Buddhas, peer up, fulfilling the practice of good. May I always practice pure conduct, ever free from defect. May I expound the teaching in the languages of gods and dragons, in the languages of demons and humans and of all living beings. May those engaged in the ways of transcendence not stray from enlightenment. Let's try this again. Can I move this here? Will that fit? Let's see. Now, will it fit with my breath capacity? That's the real question. May those engaged in the ways of transcendence not stray from enlightenment, and may all evils to be inhibited be thoroughly extinguished. So, here is morality in a nutshell. Nonviolence. Be nonviolent How do we practice nonviolence? Simple. Choose to be kind in communication, kind in conduct, kind in commerce, and everything will take care of itself. May I traverse a path of the world free from compulsion, affliction, and delusion. Like a lotus unstained by water, like the sun and moon unattached in the sky. Now, can this fit? I would be surprised if it did. Okay. Extinguishing all the miseries of past states and bringing all beings to happiness. May I act for the welfare of all beings in all lands everywhere. According with the conduct of sentient beings, while fulfilling the practice of enlightenment, and cultivating the practice of good, may I thus act throughout future aeons. May I always be in communion with those who share my practice. Physically, verbally, and mentally, may I carry out these vows as one practice. This is important. As mammals, we evolved to cooperate. We evolved to rely and support the members of our herd, pack, or tribe. And this is a deep, deep longing that is not assuaged by the practice of the Eightfold Path. And may I always be with my benefactors, who teach me the practice of good. May I never displease them. May I always see the Buddhas face to face, surrounded by enlightening beings. May I make fine offerings to them forever unwearied. Preserving the true teaching of Buddhas, illumining the path of enlightenment, and purifying the practice of good, may I practice thusly for all future aeons. Migrating through all states of being, having acquired inexhaustible virtue and knowledge, may I become an inexhaustible treasury of wisdom and means, mindfulness, liberation, and all virtues. As I carry on the practice of enlightenment, may I see the inconceivable Buddha sitting among enlightenment beings, in the lands as numerous as atoms that are in each atom. Thus may I perceive the oceans of Buddhas and lands of all times, in each point in the 10 directions, as I practice for myriad aeons. May I ever penetrate the eloquence of Buddhas, the voices of all Buddhas which adapt to mentalities, the purity of articulation of all Buddhas by the sounds of the ocean of tones. Into those infinite voices of all Buddhas of all times, may I enter by Buddha power, turning the wheel of teaching. It's safe. It's safe to take to heart the teaching of the Tao Te Ching. Not to follow the path of yang, not to make things happen, but to flow, empathetically flow from centered spontaneity, to let things happen. To lead a simple life of regular practice, and welcome the possibility that just doing that will somehow benefit all beings everywhere. If you've joined me just now during this live stream, welcome. When you have questions about meditation or philosophy, do not be bashful. Simply type your questions in great detail in the chat window. May I enter all eons of the future instantly, and may I act in all eons of all times within an instant. May I see all Buddhas of all times in one instant, and may I always enter this sphere by the magical power of liberation. May I produce the arrays of all lands of all times in an atom. May I thus perceive all the arrays of Buddha lands in the 10 directions. Learning the teachings of the lamps of the worlds to come, may I visit all the guides who have passed away to eternal rest. By occult power swift and always by the power of knowledge all-sided. By the power of practice with all virtues, by the power of universal love. By the power of goodness all pure, by the power of knowledge unobstructed. By the power of enlightenment clearing the way, the power of acts, destroying the power of afflictions, impairing the power of demons. May I fulfill all powers of the practice of good. Purifying oceans of lands, liberating oceans of beings, observing oceans of truth, plumbing oceans of knowledge, perfecting oceans of practices, fulfilling oceans of vows, serving oceans of Buddhas. May I practice untiring for oceans of aeons. The lofty vows of enlightenment practice of the Buddhas of past, present, and future may I fulfill completely. Practice what is good and realize enlightenment. All who share in the practice of Samantabhadra, the sage of universal good, the foremost offspring of all Buddhas, I name them good. Pure in body, speech, and mind, pure in conduct with a pure land. As the sage Samantabhadra is named good, may I become thus equally. May I carry on the vow of Manjushri to totally purify the practice of good. Tirelessly through all future ages may I fulfill all those tasks. May there be no limits to practice and no limit to virtues. Persisting in infinite practices, may I know all the miraculous creations. As long as the earth exists, as long as all beings exist, as long as acts and afflictions exist, so long may my vow remain. May I give the Buddhas all worlds in the 10 directions adorned with jewels. May I give celestials and humans supreme happiness for aeons, as many as atoms. Those who develop respect and devotion on hearing the supreme dedication, seeking supreme enlightenment, may they be most blessed. May they abandon all evils and all bad associations, and quickly see limitless light Amitabha, if they have this vow of enlightening practice. Great is the gain worthwhile their life, auspicious of earth as humans may they soon be like the universally good enlightening being Samantabhadra Bodhisattva. May those who have committed hellish crimes under the sway of ignorance quickly put an end to them all when this practice of good is expounded. Endowed with knowledge, distinction, and nobility, invulnerable to false teachers and demons, may they be honored by all in the triple world. May they quickly go to the tree of enlightenment, and sit there for the benefit of all beings. May they realize enlightenment, turn the wheel of teaching, and conquer the devil and all his cohorts. Buddha knows those who hold this vow to practice good, because who cause it to be told of and taught. May the fruit of this supreme May the fruit of this be supreme enlightenment beyond any confusion. So we're going to take a break right here. And now that it's 25 minutes after the hour, we're going to meditate. I'm going to tap, I think it is button 9. And tonight's practice is as easy as it is concise. It is known by many names. Some call it awareness and letting go, which could serve as an antidote to clinging, while also slicing through the fundamental duality of dread and desire. It is known by many other names, such as Zen, Chan, Jnana, Great Completion Stage, Mahasandhi, Ati Yoga, Sutra Mahamudra, and Trekcho Dzogchen. The great irony is this. Despite the grandiosity of its labels, its technique is very simple. During the in-breath, we watch the play of mind, and during the out-breath, we relax into its non-graspable nature. How do we do that? How do we practice the essence of mindfulness? It's as simple as mentally reciting "notice this" during each inhalation. Why is that? We are wired in such a way that during each inhalation, whether we know it or not, we access the sympathetic nervous system, which is already wired to notice the external and the internal, the physical and the mental, the pleasurable and the painful, the interesting and the boring, the glorious and the grotesque, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. When we do so, the only label we need ever use is simply the pronoun this. But what is one to do with all this stuff that one might notice? One should practice the essence of meditation. But how? Simply mentally recite the word relaxing during each exhalation. How would that work? During each exhalation, we are already wired to access our parasympathetic nervous system, which is prone, which supports our physical relaxation and our mental release. Whoa, you might ask. If that is the case, then why meditate at all? Because evolution has made primates, especially humans, remarkably complex. And meditation is our opportunity to align our will with our factory-installed programming to notice and release. Together, let us practice this right now. If you feel like you need to cut out early, that's fine. It is my intention to have already posted this text on the download page, whose link can be found in the description area below the video. If it's not there now, it will be there in a few hours. Welcome to the live stream. When you have questions about meditation or philosophy, simply type them in great detail in the chat window. As we breathe in, mentally recite, notice this. As we breathe out, mentally recite, relaxing. Things will come up. Allow them to. welcome to the live stream. When you have questions about meditation or philosophy, type them in great detail in the chat window. Let's return to the vows of Samantabhadra. As a hero, gentle voice, Monsieur Shri no Sutu, as a universal good Samantha mantra. As I learn from them, I dedicate all this virtue. Acting in accord with it, may I remove all obstructions. May I see limitless Amitabha face to face and go to his land of ultimate joy. There may all these vows be complete, having fulfilled them. May I work for the benefit of all beings in the world. May I abide in the circle of that Buddha born in a beautiful lotus, and receive the prophecy of Buddhahood there in the presence of Amitabha, the Buddha of limitless light. Having received the prophecy there with millions of emanations, may I work for the benefit of beings everywhere by the power of Buddha. By whatever virtue I accumulate, having invoked the vow to practice good, may the pure aspiration of the world be at once all fulfilled. By the endless surpassing blessing realized from dedication to the practice of good, may worldlings submerged in the torrent of passion go to the higher realm of limitless light Amitabha. If you feel I have earned it, type something in the chat window, give this live stream a thumbs up, and share it on social media. In approximately 10.5 hours, I would very much like to return to lead Sunday's early morning meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy, and if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.